There's always a horizon.
Can't not have one.
There's always a horizon. Yeah, there's always a horizon. Hi, folks. How's it going? We back after a week away, following a few weeks away. We're back. Is that
We're all
is
about
that the timeline?
Self-care now, you know.
That's right. You gotta take care of
So
yourself.
I'm like, hey Ian, we should really do the show, and he messaged me back like on a Monday, like at 6 p.m. He's like, "Fuck that! Hate those guys. Hate our audience." And
Yeah,
I'm like, "Whoa, man."
Hope they get sick and like get the sniffles.
He gets really specific about
Yeah.
the evil he wants to come on.
Oh my God, if I could draw the straight line. Jesus Christ.
Just do that for the whole show.
Yeah, that's all you're going to see the entire time is just this line getting done and undone over and over. Wow. Wow. Oh boy. We are wowing over here.
Wow. Wow.
Leviathan Den.
Wow, you're so dominant.
Leviathan Den, thank you for the sub.
You are so dominant. You subscribed for 34 months. What? Who can even measure that amount of time?
We're his little pay piggies.
Yeah, he's, you know. Thanks for being our sugar daddy.
Is he the pay piggy? Which one is which? I don't.
Neither of us have had to go to work in years because of you. Thank you so much.
That's right. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's another episode of DrawBomb. If my calculations are correct, it is episode 159. Which is wild that we're still doing this all these years later.
Right. For nobody.
Yeah, if you really think about
ourselves.
it. Yeah, it's just a little ego boost for us. It's another episode of DrawBomb. Sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I don't want to say nobody. We have our
fans.
We have our VIP crew
that's right.
Here every week, and we love them.
We love them. They support us because they feel bad.
Yeah.
It's another episode of
off their
DrawBomb.
pity.
It's the episode of It's DrawBomb. It's a show where we draw and woo.
We draw and we woo.
Ooh, wow.
Yep.
Wow, look at those drawings.
You're not wrong. We do those things.
What we do. Hello. Brandon.
Yes,
It's been a few weeks. What have you been up to? I swear to God, if it was nothing, I'll hit you.
I left the country. I hopped aboard an aeroplane and flew south of the border.
Who are you running from? What was your crime?
I killed a man.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, yep. That would be a good reason.
But I figured a week is enough time, so I came back. I'm like, they gotta be. They can't be chasing me still. Like,
I would have given up by now.
So I'm probably good.
I would have gotten tired of myself.
I went to Mexico. My sister was celebrating her 40th birthday, and we all went down there to hang out and party with her, and it was very fun. And the weather was great.
Very cool.
Had a blast.
Well, did you guys like see the sights, or were you just sort of like were you Airbnb-ing it? Was there a hotel, motel, Holiday Inn that you guys had to rent out? Set the scene for us.
None of the above. We were at a resort, and we stayed there the whole time. We absorbed little to no culture, but lots of food and alcohol.
Isn't a resort kind of a hotel?
It is kind of. It's like yes, it is kind of a hotel, but I meant like.
So you lied to me.
We were in our bubble. We were in our bubble.
Gotcha. You were safely away from the actual country.
I mean, as much as I love like to when I go someplace to like check it out and like, you know, see what it has to offer, and like, you know, take in some culture. This was not that kind of trip. This was a eat,
Pray, love.
your weight in food. Yeah, this is an eat, pray, love kind of thing. I lived,
Gotcha.
laughed, loved. I eat, prayed, loved. I ding dong bitch. I don't know. I did all the things.
You tic-tac-toed.
Yeah. But it was great. It was very fun. Have you ever been to an all-inclusive resort?
No, I've never been to a resort, I would say. I don't
Okay.
think so. Not to my memory.
So the way they work is you basically just you pay a chunk, and then you just have unlimited everything while you're there.
Yeah, it's like that. It's kind of like that place that she advertises in Kunk on Earth during that one episode where like it turns into a product placement for like 2 minutes, and she's talking about that weird resort. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I vaguely remember that, but yes, it is like that.
Okay.
It was good. It was fun. You know,
It's kind of like the place they stayed at in Palm Springs, the movie, right?
Yeah.
My only reference is movies and TV, so I'm gonna have to.
Right. It is like that. You know,
Okay.
you're in like your little. It's like a little tiny like village, basically, with pools and bars and restaurants, and
People bringing you drinks and stuff.
it's great. You know, I'm a big fan. I love a vacation where you go out and you see the sights and you do that. But I also like a vacation where you gain 10 pounds and you just are a bum and you hang out in the sun.
I mean, that sort of vacation that you took is a vacation in like the truest sense. Like you're vacationing from any and all like responsibility, and like
Yes.
you're essentially being like weighted on hand and
Yeah,
foot by some people, right?
Exactly. You just don't have to think about anything. You just have fun. It was great.
Yeah, there's definitely a place for that. I don't blame you one bit for enjoying that.
Some people are like, they only like, you know, like the kind of trip where you're like, you know, just out and about experiencing the world. Some people like only the resort trips where you're being weighted on hand, foot. I
Yeah.
like both.
Wow.
I like both. I like
The
I
duality
like
of
to do-
man.
Exactly. I like to do both. You know, sometimes you do one, sometimes you do the other. They're great.
Wow. He is large and he contains multitude, folks. He's not just a resort kind of guy. He's not just a... Brandon, are you a danger tourist? Do you like to go to dangerous places and under constant threat of death and be like, here I am.
I run to an Airbnb inside a volcano.
Yeah.
No,
That actually sounds like the worst. I would never like.
no.
There
I
are
don't
people
want
who are
that.
like danger tourists, and I just think about that, and I'm just like, that is the opposite of everything I look for in a vacation.
So I'm a guy that likes to experience new things and do things, and you know, the way I look at, like, what's the meaning of life? And I'm like, I don't know, just do shit that you like, and then turn into crumbly dust. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's life.
But I'm not. I still, even with that, even me being a guy who's like always looking for like new experiences. When I hear people being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna climb Mount Everest. It's gonna take me a month, and I might
could
die."
die.
I'm like, stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid. That's not a good experience. Like, that almost like I'm like, is the only reason you're doing this for the brag? Because
Right.
who gives a
No,
shit? That's
some
dumb.
people are into that though. Like some people, that's like their
I know.
jam is like
But
almost
are you
dying.
depressed? Why are you chasing death?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I see death over there. I'm gonna sprint at it. Like, why are you doing that? Not interested
really
in
you
that.
getting out of that, sir and or madam?
Exactly. I'm not interested in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I like manufactured adrenaline and thrills. I like roller coasters. I like scary movies. I like things where I'm like, it tricks my body into feeling those things while I'm comfortable. And safe.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of
But
roller coasters.
I'm not like, hey, let's play some Russian roulette, or let's
Oh, you've never
wrestle an
tried, dude?
alligator. I haven't tried, so I guess I shouldn't speak until
Dude, it's so
wait till I've
sick.
tried it before I shit on it.
Dude, I love
It's so
Russian
fun. Best
roulette.
case scenario, somebody blows their brains out in front of you.
Yeah, dude.
Worst case scenario, you blow your own brains out. It's the only two ways it goes.
So what more could you ask for, dude?
To not
okay.
play at all.
Yeah, I'd like to not play that game. Anyways, so you were on vacay. You were on
Okay. But now I'm back.
How does it feel to be back? How does it feel to be back from vacay?
It actually feels good. I enjoyed it, but I also like my own bed, and I like my cats, and I like not being. The weather was like, it was nice, but it was like boiling hot, and I'm like enjoying some fall weather as well. It was like there were some days where it was like 100% humidity, feels like 108 degrees outside.
Oof.
I was like, okay,
Yeah,
that's
nothing.
a little. It's a teenth over what I would, ask for.
Yeah, that seems like a lot.
It was fun. It was good. But happy to be home.
Nice. Well, welcome back.
Thanks. How was your week?
I worked.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That's all I did is I worked. No, yeah, I just worked on shit the whole time. The parents were actually on vacation themselves. They took a trip to
Wow.
Rhode Island. They wanted to go meet Mr. Family Guy.
Hi, I'm Mr. Family Guy. Lois. Lois.
Holy crap, Lois. Yeah, so they went on vacation, so I took care of the house. That was my week.
Well, I can see you're still in a house, so it means you succeeded, I think.
Yeah, I didn't burn it down, which is good. That's
Did
what
you
you
have
can
like
hope
a Home
for.
Alone type situation?
You know,
You
I
had to
did.
fight off two wacky, zany burglars with a number of like booby traps and overcomplicated machines made out of household items.
Yeah, funny enough, it actually was Joe Pesci and the other guy. They actually did try.
Yeah,
and,
they haven't been doing much in a while, so they're probably.
Yeah. Ever since The Irishman,
Poor-
Joe Pesci was like, "Man, I need to figure some shit out."
Sad that you referred to the other guy as the other guy.
I
But
know. I
also
felt
can't
bad that I
correct
don't. I don't
I
remember his
can't
name.
high horse you because I don't know his name either.
Son of a bitch. We're
You
so
know, the
sorry,
guy from
Marv.
Bushwhacked.
I'm sorry, Marv. I know your character's name more than I know yours. Wait, what's Bushwhacked? Is that his other?
It was like right after Home Alone, he was in like two things
Oh yeah.
before he wasn't in anything.
Well, maybe. I mean, maybe it's better for him because the other option is like he either Michael Richards himself and like makes a horrible
It's the only two
embarrassment.
routes.
Yeah. But hold on one sec. Is this drawing of your likeness in DrawBois form running on the beaches of Mexico happy?
Exactly.
You know, I actually hadn't even
me.
thought about that when we decided to do this drawing. I kind of didn't even take that into consideration.
No, I wasn't muscly before, and I'm less so after that vacation. I just like ate and drank like it was my job.
And Leo's getting larger. Remember that from Airplane?
Yeah, airplane.
Yeah.
That one zany guy in the office.
Yeah. That character is. You know what? I wouldn't want Airplane without that character, but that character is like he takes a while to like really not be in like for his charm to sort of set in. I think in that movie, like it took a little bit for me to be like, okay, I'm on board with this crazy character.
It looks like a big Tylenol.
Does he say that too? I forget. Or is that from Austin Powers when they're looking at the space stations and saying it looks like a pee-pee?
No, they're basically like I think they do one of those lines they keep doing during an airplane where somebody's like, oh oh my god, the airplane. And somebody's like, what is it? And he goes, well, it has big wings.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing.
Yeah.
But that same guy that does the Leon's getting larger
Leon's
does the thing where he's
getting
like, it looks like a big Tylenol or something.
Gotcha. That's a fun movie. That's a movie you wouldn't ever get ever again, and I don't think it would land the same if you did if you released Airplane completely as is now. I don't know if it would land.
Okay, so that's an interesting thing. The closest thing I can think of to Airplane, like a modern version of it, is maybe Hot Rod.
Yeah, but
it's like
the sense of humor in
rapid
Airplane,
fire, just sketches and just stupid jokes.
Yeah. But Hot Rod's
cartoonish.
Hot Rod's sense of humor is so Airplane's sense of humor is so specific. It's Airplane's sense of humor is the kind of jokes you make with a stranger. It's almost
dad jokes for an entire film. 90 minutes of dad jokes.
It's 90 minutes of dad jokes is a perfect way to describe it. But it works, and it's funny because I don't know if it would work. I can't think of any other movie that I've seen.
There's a lot from that time. If you watch the Naked Gun series.
Oh yeah, that's the whole
Leslie Nielsen, and it's the exact same shit.
That's true. Yeah. Did Airplane came first though? Airplane brought Leslie Nielsen into the because he was a serious actor.
He was a soap opera actor, I think, before that.
And then awesome. His delivery was just so perfect for comedy, and he became the funniest man ever, just by.
But there's a lot of movies like that. What's the Val Kilmer one? Top Secret. That's the same idea.
Oh yeah, and Hot Shots parts. Hot Shots.
There's a lot of those
That's true.
Just rapid fire
dad
slapstick
jokes.
Dumb dad joke movies back then.
True.
And I love them.
Yeah, they're great.
They were some of my favorite movies then, and they hold up.
How about in Hot Shots when it's the love scene and he's got the girl and they're kind of doing the sexy food thing?
I think I know the scene you're gonna talk about. Yeah, does he shoot a grape from her belly button into her mouth? He puts a grape in her belly button, and then he presses on her belly and goes, shoots it to her mouth.
The sound effect
awesome.
is so funny. Just
it's great.
That shit cracks me up. Hot Shots Part 2 is is crazy too, because it goes from Hot Shots is a Top Gun parody through and through almost, with a couple of other slight movie, but it's mostly Top Gun almost, I want to say, or maybe Top Gun came out after.
Hot Shots is Top Gunny. Hot Shots Part
is Rambo.
2 is more Rambo.
Yeah, that's what I was it's funny that Hot Shots Part 2 is just hey, let's do Rambo now. And it's great.
So there's all those, but the 90s and early 2000s also had a lot of stuff going on because Scary Movie kicked off.
Yeah, but Scary Movie was not funny, and that's where I get Scary Movie, and I know why there's a difference. What was that?
I don't think they hold up very well, but you didn't like any of the Scary movies?
No, I think Scary Movie 3 is still hilarious. I haven't seen Scary Movie 1 since I first saw it, in all honesty, and Scary Movie 2 I don't think is that funny.
Yeah.
But I think we've had this conversation before.
Is good, which isn't. I just remember some are okay, some are terrible.
I think
that kicked off a whole series of those same types of movies. Some of them were cancer, Spartan movie and
Meet the Spartans.
Yeah, but there was others that were decent.
So
I remember, and they may not hold up at all.
I think
Not Another Teen Movie. There's
Not Another Teen Movie is great,
which I thought that one was good.
Not Another Teen Movie is
also
still solid.
I'm trying to think of others. There was a bunch of them. There was this parody.
Austin Powers is kind of a parody movie.
You're right. It is.
And Austin Powers 1 still holds up.
The jokes are equally dumb.
Yeah, and I think Austin Powers 1 actually still holds up and has gotten funnier, if anything, over time.
I agree.
I think it's because it's making fun of tropes that I think have just gotten almost more relevant. I feel because they're because movies it's interesting. Scream and Austin Powers were kind of these movies that were taking these well-known genres and for different purposes, sort of calling out the tropes of them. And then like usually when that happens, you'd think like, okay, well, it's time to come up with new tropes. It's time, like the formula has been exposed. We have to make a new formula. But I feel like at a certain point, and at least in terms of like large release mainstream movies, it was like, no, these are the tropes. We stick with it. We don't change them. This is the formula.
I mean,
that's me.
If you read like any kind of writing like guide, it's basically giving you like the outline for every story, you know?
Yeah,
so
true.
It's hard to, I'm not saying like there aren't ways to be creative, because people still do it every day. And there's things that come out every year that are like, whoa, good job, you thought of something new. But it's hard to do that. And I also think a lot of people just stick to the guide,
what you're used to,
so to speak.
And you know, I'm not even totally correct, because I mean, horror movies have come a long way since Scream. You know, I don't think I've seen as many movies with like the damsel is running from the killer and her leg goes snap. Oh, you know, that was like a thing.
I think, yeah, genres have their ups and downs, but I think horror movies are like at an up right now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'd like say like since the 70s there was just nothing good happening, and like right now there's like interesting horror movies every year.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of which, this is actually a great segue. Have you seen the movie Talk to Me yet?
No.
Oh, interesting. Okay, because so the parents left for vacation on Thursday, and then like that's like they had left the house, and then like I got a text from Austin saying I am back home for like the day. I can hang out tonight, and that's it. Do you guys want to hang out? So we did. Good old friend.
You guys hung out without me? What the fuck?
I'm sorry, we should have called you. But we hung out with Austin, and we watched Talk to Me, which has been causing quite a bit of hubbub, I would say, in the film watchers circles. I don't know if you've heard about this movie. Kyle had not heard about this movie, but like I
haven't heard about it, but maybe
maybe
I have. Once you get more detail, I'm interested.
All right, so I'll tell you about it. So yeah, again, I was well aware of the movie. It was getting talked about.
Don't go too spoilery if you actually liked it.
No, I thought it was all right. I still won't spoil it because it's still a pretty fresh movie. I don't feel like it makes sense. Like if it's like a movie that doesn't completely suck, and if it's like a movie that's recent, you know, I feel like I should give it a grace period of a few years. Yeah. But Talk to Me. So like the interesting thing about Talk to Me is one, it's an Australian horror movie, which isn't interesting, but it's just like by itself, it's interesting in the fact that it has sort of popped off in America. Like it's sort of gotten mainstream recognition in America, and it's actually the people who made the movie actually started with a YouTube channel where they made like gory horror like short films and stuff like that. So they are YouTubers who made a well-received horror movie essentially, which is cool. But
I love to see people break out of like I love to see people start with just like
humble origins
out of the love of the game, and then and then now they get to get paid for it. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So so yeah, Talk to Me. I guarantee you've probably seen ads for it, and you may have seen people talk about it. But it's like these Australian kids. That people have been talking to you about it. It's like these kids, and they have like this hand that's like covered in wax, and you like sort of like shake the hand, or you just grab it to shake the hand, and you say "Talk to me," and then you see a ghost, and then you say "Let me in." And then the ghost possesses you for like that amount of time, and that's the movie. That's the concept of the movie essentially. Is that?
Where did you get this hand?
In the movie, they sort of go into it. In the movie, they're just like, oh yeah, it's a fortune teller's hand, or I forget, like a witch's hand, or something like that, or like some sort of fortune.
I have not heard about this at all.
I guarantee you, if you saw the trailers, you would be like, oh, I've seen that commercial. Or maybe you don't see commercials. I don't know.
I don't see commercials. Hardly ever.
What the hell? What, you not on YouTube? That's all YouTube is.
I have ad block.
Son of a bitch. Not for long.
Yeah. They're on to me.
YouTube's cracking down.
There's a van full of hackers, and they're rolling up to my house, and they're like, "We got him!
We got him. I'm in.
Get him!"
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good movie. I mean, it's not. It's a fine movie. I would say. I thought it was all right. I thought it was well made. It was definitely like put together well. I didn't find it very surprising. Like, it's not going to reinvent the wheel. I think there's been a lot of hubbub about it, but I think that's mostly because it's just been like, you know, in between the good horror movies, there are like droughts where it's like just really bad, like trash horror movies. You know, like you really get like the peaks and the valleys when it comes to horror. It's either like great, or it's like fucking garbage, or it's like good and it's garbage. You know, it's like if it's not good, it's rarely ever like, oh, this was kind of stinky. It's like it's all the way stank. I gotta look up what color the Baywatch logo is. But so yeah, Talk to Me. It was fine. I thought it was fine. You know, the story wasn't crazy surprising or anything like that. But it was well done, and like what it really, I think what people really like about it is like it's got these. It's not particularly scary in my opinion, but there are like moments of extreme like tension, or like where you just know something's gonna go wrong. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, oh, this is gonna go badly, and then there's
maybe
like
an unpopular opinion, but I don't think a horror movie needs to be. It doesn't need to like be terrifying. If it's like,
it can be creepy.
Good, and if it's like creepy, or if it's mysterious, or if it's like like I don't know, it has well made, creative, I don't know.
Yeah, like for instance, like It Follows is probably one of the best horror movies I've seen. It's not like an outright terrifying movie, except for that one scene with the giant tall guy. But it's definitely a movie that makes you paranoid. It makes you feel paranoid, and like that's a success in my opinion, is the fact that like I felt paranoid like for a couple weeks after watching that movie. I would like check over my shoulder, be like, is there a fucking person in a hospital gown walking slowly at me? But it doesn't need to be terrifying. And what I think Talk to Me does well is there's moments where you just know, like, first of all, so like actually, so Talk to Me, and I'm not gonna get into spoilers. I'm gonna avoid details as much as possible. But both Talk to Me and It Follows do something smart, where they kind of start with a vignette, like a completely unrelated story that's like related, because it's related to like the overall premise, you know, but it's like you kind of like start the movie off with these characters you're not going to follow for the rest of the movie, and then you see sort of like the what was that? You're not going to It Follows them for the rest of the movie. But like It Follows starts with like, it's a girl, she's on the phone, she's like saying goodbye to her dad and saying like, you know, I love you. And then like the next moment you see her, she's like fucked up on a beach, like her legs all twisted and bent the wrong way, and she's like been murdered by, you don't know what, but what you do know is that the creature from It Follows did that to her. So then the rest of the movie, you don't know like what the creature's gonna do to you, but you know it's gonna do that, and you don't want that to happen to you. So like,
you know it ain't gonna be good.
It ain't gonna be good. So It Follows does a good job of like setting up that sort of like, you don't know what the creature is, you don't know much about the creature, you just know you don't want that to happen to you, so you're gonna stay away from the creature.
You want to stay away from the creature.
So that like appropriately sets up like the creepiness of It Follows, and the beginning of Talk to Me has a scene. It starts with like some unrelated characters, and then something terrible happens to them, and then you know for the rest of the movie, hey, I have some stakes that I know, like I know what's at stake here, like this this could happen, and I think that's successful. And then for the rest of the movie, like it's not like a, you know, it's not like a constant like dreadful like sort of movie. It's got like its creepy moments here and there, but it's just like where I think it's very successful is it's got these like 2 or 3 moments of just like brutality, and you know it's gonna happen, and you're just like waiting for it to happen. So there's like that suspense, and then there's the rubber band snapping, and then there's some brutality, and then, you know, you're kind of like back to equilibrium sort of for a little bit until like the next moment like that, and so that's where I think the movie does well. But you know, it's well made. It's not like outright laughably bad in any particular moment, I would say, and it does its job. It tells its story. It's not going to reinvent the wheel, but it's fine. You know, I would give it like a 7.5 maybe if I had to give it a score.
Okay.
Like, it's good.
I also just watched a new horror movie, or not new, but new to me. I had never seen it. Morgan had seen it, and she recommended it. And we watched it.
What's it
yesterday.
called?
It was called As Is Above Is Below.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that
You
one.
heard about that?
I've heard about that.
It's like a found footage. The found footage, kind of like. A lot of it's kind of like. I mean, it's a horror movie, certainly, but it's like a treasure hunting thing. I enjoyed it. It's very like mysterious and stuff. The ending was a little like weird, but the whole thing was weird, so it's okay. I'd also probably give this like a 6 or a 7, but it like held my interest. It was unique. It was very like creative, like stylized and stuff. I thought for like the found footage thing, like I enjoyed it. Basically, they're like these. It's like a found footage thing, and the girl's like continuing her father's research, and he was hunting for this like artifact or whatever, and then it basically leads them to like the catacombs of Paris that are like they have like thousands of miles of catacombs down there that are just like aren't mapped out really, and that's a real thing because
yeah, I've seen a couple of like
how would they be?
Like urban explorer YouTube channels that have like checked out those catacombs once or twice.
Yeah, so they're going down there and they're entering this like, and basically it just turns into this whole like, they go into this. There's some like laughably like there's some things they do that are just like, there's one scene early on where they're entering the catacombs and they're like going to this. They have this guy who's been down there a few times, and they're going to like the uncharted areas, but he supposedly knows his way around. And he's like, as they're getting closer, you hear this like chanting, and he's like, yeah, there's a lot of weird people down here, and they come around the corner. It's legit like the chanting isn't just like 6 people being like, yeah. It's like a choir, like. They're all like in like harmonizing and there's candles all over and they're wearing cloaks and it's like, okay, he's like, yeah, a lot of weirdos down here. And it's like, basically it's like, obviously like that. If there wasn't a sign that you're entering some kind of like demonic situation, like this is it.
Yeah.
Like, no, like they have too much production value.
They've been practicing
they're not
this
just
song.
a group of weirdos. Yeah. These people are summoning the devil. They're not just doing drugs in a hole underground. Like they're doing some weird shit. I don't know, it was just funny. But I think part of it, you then heard that for like the next scene or two, so I'm like, did they just do that so that they could have a soundtrack in a found footage movie? That's the only purpose
interesting
of that? So that you could hear chanting while they were like in intense situations.
Interesting.
I don't know.
When did this movie come out? I don't know when it.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Let's Google it. Let's find out.
Real quick. Double Rocket says, "Me in the back." Are you the drowning person or the buxom babe? Which one are you identifying with? Or are you the ocean?
I think she's saying she's
also
the drowning
Leviathan
person.
Den. I was leaving it up to her to decide who she identifies with. Leviathan Den says, watching you guys on a big screen is wild, by the way. I think it's my TV's color, but everything is just so vivid. It's like we're in your house, man. Yeah. I'm gonna reach over into your fridge and steal, I don't know, what are you keeping there? Chocolate milks?
What are you doing? 2014.
Okay. Yeah. It had a guy in it who I recognize him from a million things. And I'm like, oh, that guy. And then Morgan's like, oh, what's he in? And I'm like, didn't think of it.
It's who?
I'm gonna look it up right now.
All right. So what would you rate? You said a 6.5, 7-ish sort of rating?
Yeah. It was like entertaining, kind of silly, but interesting to watch. And like as we've said before, we're also jaded that like I feel anything at all, that's a win.
That's so true. We are very jaded at this point. We're a bunch of fuddy-duddies.
Yeah, that's right. Ben Feldman. That's the actor. What else has he been in? A bunch of stuff.
You said he was in Lord of the Rings?
I never said that.
Or you said something. I didn't hear exactly what you said.
I said I didn't know what he was in.
I
said I'm like, oh, that guy. I've seen him in a million things. And then Morgan was like, what is he in? And I'm like, I don't know.
I see.
So I'm looking up. You'd recognize. Everybody would recognize him. He's one of those guys that's just in stuff.
His name's Ben Feldman?
Yeah.
I'm gonna Google him. We're Googling. This episode brought to you by Google.
Google.
Oh yeah, he's the lawyer in Silicon Valley.
Lawyer. Yes, that I knew he played a lawyer, but I couldn't remember what. I kept wanting to say Arrested Development, but I knew that was not correct. He's not.
That's not him.
He's not Bob Blah Blah.
What a great name. That's why we named our show this.
Yeah, Bob Blah Blah's DrawBomb.
That's right. Bob Blah Blah draws bomb. All right, cool. So you enjoyed. That's good.
Yeah, it was fun. I would, if you like something like, I think like Blair Witch has done better, but like if you like that kind of like silly kind of found footage thing, it was pretty fun.
Nice.
I enjoyed it. Production value is pretty good. They're basically like, I don't know, it's 2014. I can spoil a little bit.
Yeah.
At one point, they're going into these tunnels and they keep going deeper and deeper, and then at a certain point they basically enter hell, it seems like, without saying it specifically. And they just like really stylistically lean into it. They're not, I feel like a lot of times you expect them to do more of like it's just like it's unpleasant here, but no, there's straight up like it felt like they entered a Doom map. There was like faces on the walls and like there's people in cloaks and just like we're sitting there watching it, and I started sit next to Morgan. I'm like,
awesome.
It just felt like they were in a Doom world. You'd be better at doing it because
I've
played a
played
lot of Doom.
too much fucking Doom. Well, that's so you had a fun time though overall. Would you recommend it to the viewers?
Sure. If you're, I mean, there's a lot of good movies that maybe I'd recommend first, but it's fun. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Alrighty. There you go, folks. 2 movie recommendations from the DrawBomb crew. Sort of. Sort of on both.
We thought they were worth watching for both of them, right?
Yeah. I think Talk to Me is if you're into if you're just looking for a well-made, like not insanely like surprising horror movie, I think Talk to Me is a good one.
I want to watch more this month, so like if anybody in the chat has recommendations, drop them on me.
I've been meaning to watch Skinamarink.
Yeah, that's a pretty like decisive one. I've heard like people say they love it. I've heard people say they hate it.
Yeah, it's either you think it's like the scariest movie you've seen in a while, or you think absolutely nothing happened.
Yeah, so I don't know. Check that out. Skinamarinky Dinky Dink.
It's on Hulu now. Made by a person on Reddit, apparently.
Wow. So if you're an internet person and you want to make things, get into horror. Apparently that's your in.
Yeah.
That's always kind of been the truth, though. That's always been true.
Yeah, I mean, that's how, like
there's
when
so many big directors that have just, like, started by making some cheap little horror movie. I mean, like, Sam Raimi.
When they finished making Key and Peele, I mean, Jordan went to doing horror, and now he's, like, a well-respected director because Get Out was such a banger. So, I mean,
yeah,
you make just one.
Good. I love shit. I think So horror movies, I think the reason that people have break in so much more than they would elsewhere. Horror movies it's tone over everything. You can make a cheap ass horror movie, but that will be successful if you know how to play off people's imagination and fears and stuff like that and know how to film it.
Yeah.
And so you see a lot of people come in and be very successful, just like from knowing how to make a film without the resources. And then, I don't know, prove yourself, and then people will give you the resources, I guess.
Yeah, it's really it's a budget thing for sure. Like you can make a horror movie on the cheap. Fake blood is not expensive. So it's like, if you got like a good makeup person, you got a good horror movie in the making already. So yeah, no, I totally get it. I mean, if I was trying to break into the industry as a director, I would do a horror movie first because, like you said, it's tone over anything else. Like, you don't need a good script as long as you can shoot like a kind of creepy frame, you know, with some sound design. So yeah, but yeah, if you're, yeah, it's in general, horror movies just tend to be much more lower budgeted, so the potential gain is that much more. If you made the movie for like $1 million and you make $2 million, you've already doubled your budget.
Wow.
And then you got some movies that are like
$2 million.
Yeah, me too. Because then you've got some movies that are like, hey, this movie cost $37 million to make on the low end. And it's like, how much did you make back? It's like $10,000. And it's like, oh, shit.
So sorry.
So sorry.
At least you made a profit.
No, they didn't. 10,000 is.
I thought you said they made how much you made. I took that as on top of. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. No, these people lost money in my scenario. They lost a lot of money.
These imaginary people I just made up are losers and idiots.
Yeah, I'm not like them. Let it be clear. I am much.
Winner, I see further.
I have not lost $37 million.
I create my things that fail are free to make.
That's right. Speaking of which, check out our YouTube channel, DrawBomb.
Check out our Twitch show, DrawBomb.
Check out our Twitch show.
You'd be the first.
That's right. You will be among the elite few who have watched us.
Speaking of being part of the elite,
yes, Pokemon.
Our YouTube has reached 900 subscribers.
That's correct. Last I checked, it was 906. That Iron Man short did gangbusters for us.
It did. God bless you. God bless you and your little heart. You know.
Thank you. I figured, why write a bunch of scripts for little 6-second shorts when I have those hourly comics I did? I can just use those motherfuckers.
Oh, are those? Is that from that?
Yeah, that was like one of the hourly comics I did last year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna take a couple more and turn those into little shorts as well, and then I don't gotta write as many down. Thanks.
But yeah. So, you know, speaking of, you know, that kind of thing, if you want to get in on the ground floor, and you're not subscribed to us yet, you can be the original 1,000. You know, people are going to be, when we're like Mr. Beast levels and we're like dumping like,
gold bars onto homeless people.
and like, carrying like, you know, lame horses. Dumping Zorbies into the sewer system of a major city for content. You're gonna be like, I was there at the beginning.
Hi there, I'm Mr. Beast, and today we're replacing all of the water pipes in Flint, Michigan, and getting rid of the lead in their drinking water.
Oh shit, he should do that. He could
easily do that.
I mean, he does do that kind of shit.
Oh yeah, he's
I don't feel like I know he's making money off his stuff, but I don't feel like a lot of people like to attack him.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, the dude like legit just like cured. I know he's made content out of it, but he just like cured like
It's like-
5,000 blind people. Like, let's
Yeah.
cut him a break. He's at least he's like doing that instead of being like, he could be just like Elon Musk or something.
Yeah.
Annoying.
And like people are like, but he should like I've heard the argument where it's like, oh, he should not turn it into content, and I'm like, okay, but then he stops doing that because
Right.
it's like it's a
But
cyclical thing where it
he
funds
runs out.
itself. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I that's the way I feel. Maybe somebody who's more of an like economist could explain to me why I'm wrong, but I just feel like he's come on, man. Like he's doing more than the average
Yeah.
person. Like he seems like a normal human who hasn't been like turned into some weird gremlin by fame. So just like leave him alone, maybe, and like let him
Yeah.
do whatever.
Let the man do his charity
Who gives
thing.
a shit. He's making shows for children. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And you know, there's the other argument is like, well, it's exploitative, and it's like, well, tell those people not to sign the release then when he makes the video out of like curing
Yeah,
them of their thing.
Don't get your blindness cured by the rich man. Then, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. It just
Like-
so much
like-
stuff sucks that I'm like, if one person's like sucking slightly less, I'm like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, if you're gonna condemn anything, like condemn the systems that make like it necessary for these people's like blindness to be cured by Mr. Beast instead of Mr. Beast. Like
Exactly.
that's where I stand on the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like there's like the articles, and I get why they're like, people kind of draw attention to them as like being like broken, and I agree. But like, there's the articles where it's like, child saves up all their allowance to buy lunch, like breakfast for their other fellow students who can't afford it, and it's like, wait, we're making kids. And I get like that's the issue, but also it's like, okay, but that's still like somebody.
Yeah,
It's not.
it's like an indictment of
it's still-
capitalism, but it's like at least somebody's doing something. Like, you know, for the
Exactly,
person who's
let's
like
not-
bitching about it, like, what have you done lately? You know?
Let's not attack each other. If somebody's trying to do something, like,
Yeah.
I guess that's better than nothing.
Yeah, it really comes down to like, what have you done? If you're gonna complain, like, what have you done? What's the most charitable thing you've done recently? When's the last time you did something? Like, you don't have to cure like 1,000 people of blindness or whatever, but like, when's the last time you gave like $5 to a homeless shelter or something like that? Even like to that
Right.
level, you know?
Right.
So that's where like, yeah, there's something ghoulish about it, but it's not Mr. Beast. It's the system underneath it all.
Yeah.
And I mean, I follow his philanthropy channel too, and I think his philanthropy channel, like, he does like even more intense like stuff. Like he like builds whole schools and shit for people in like poor African countries, and I'm just like, yeah, like that's great. Like more of that. Like good.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. I'm
Yeah.
not mad at him.
Not mad. So yeah. What got us on this topic in the first place?
I think we were talking about how we were going to become Mr. Beast
Oh,
levels
yeah.
of popularity because we're almost at 1,000
That's right. Yeah.
subscribers.
We just gotta
So
like
close, you know?
this Iron Man one got us 20 subscribers at least, so we just gotta come up with a few
Yeah, so
more.
if we make like 2 or 3 more of those, we'll be like Mr. Beast.
That's right, we'll be Mr. Beast or Darman.
Darman, is that the guy that opens the door for you at the
That's right.
apartment?
They greet you at Walmart.
Yeah, they're like, have a nice day. And you're like, okay,
Thanks.
okay, thank you, I guess. That's Darman.
That's Darman. No, have you ever seen a Darman video?
No, I'm not familiar.
I don't watch them. I've mostly seen other people react to them because they're hilarious. All of Darman's videos are like the same. It's like take this sort of formula and then extrapolate it, but it's like this bully keeps stealing this kid's lunch money. Well, he never expected this. And you know, I think
And
you
they
can kind
beat
of
up the child.
and then they beat the fuck out of the like then it's like, oh, this kid's cousin is Mr. Beast, and Mr. Beast turns the bully down to be in a video because the bully was so mean. That's a Darman video. And then that's like every Darman video is like, this lady was
So they're just like pretty womaning people over and over.
no, but like they're all sketches, like they're all like scripted
Oh.
like shows, like they're all like performances. You know, it's like watching a
Okay.
TV show, but it's like every single
Gotcha.
plot is the same. Where it's like you have this shitty person and they're being shitty. Well, guess what? Karma happened. Now this person feels awful bad about being shitty, don't they? And that's every Darman video. And they're all horribly acted, and the production value is, it's like watching like a CW show but worse, or like it's like Hallmark levels of production quality, I would say.
Got it.
And
Why
like
is CW and DC so bad?
I don't know, man.
They
Maybe
have
James
money.
Gunn can turn it around. They do have money. They have a shit ton of money.
It's interesting that James Gunn made one successful one, and they're like, give him the keys. He's in charge now. Like, that's all it took. They're like, whoa, this guy. It's like, it feels like Idiocracy, where they're like, let this man take over. He clearly knows more than we do, even though like I like James Gunn stuff, but he's like just one guy, and he made like one thing, and they're
Well,
like,
he made like the most popular Marvel. Like they clearly look like they've been trying to do the Marvel thing for as long as Marvel has been successful at doing it. So what they clearly did was they hired the guy who made the most successful Marvel like series, like the ones that people all like unanimously say like are their favorites for the most part.
You're right.
And then he made like a banger of a movie for them. Like they did the first Suicide Squad, that was a failure. So he took a crack at it and he did a good job. Like people actually were like, "Oh, this is good." So they were like, "Fuck it."
Yeah.
He knows what to do, man. We're hiring him. He's the only one to like make any of our movies that have gotten like tomatoed on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. It makes sense why they picked him. I just like, it seems odd. Like they have not anymore because they're owned by Disney, but arguably if it were just Marvel versus DC, I imagine DC has more money. Like Batman, Superman.
Yeah,
like,
they have like the
these
longest
things are like before Marvel got into the film game, like DC had more successful properties in film.
I would say so, yeah. I would say if before the cinematic universes happened, if you would ask me who was more successful, Marvel or DC, I would probably say DC because they have Batman and Superman.
Right, but they just like, how can they be so bad? Like the movies, I am not an expert. No one has ever paid me to make a film. I don't claim to be good at it, but I watch a lot, and I feel like I could make a better DC movie than they have made.
God damn. From what I've seen, yeah, I feel like
why are they so just like tragically
not a high bar.
shitty? Like I don't understand why they're failing so aggressively.
It's interesting. So like, it's interesting because when DC officially partnered up with CW to make their sort of young adult superhero television shows, I thought it was a strange decision because I was like, okay, well, I've seen what the CW makes. It looks bad. It is bad. It's not good. I was never a fan of the CW. But also, CW is Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers' pockets run deep. So it's like,
They got the dough.
they got dough. So I figured like the partnership made sense. They'll just probably maybe put more budget into the DC shows than they do it like with their standard like teen dramas that CW kind of made their name on, you know? But no, they just made superhero shows that were of the same caliber as these teen dramas. And I was like, this is bad.
The visual effects just like make me sick.
God, I've seen some...
like I'm willing to give you like wiggle room. Why it just looks so trash. It like hurts me.
It used to like
it's got to be hard to market it because like it's not even like it's a visceral reaction because I'm like ultimately effects aren't everything to me, but it's like I'm turned away by them. Like I'm seeing an ad and I'm just like
yeah,
like, it's like the show might be great, but like I'll never know because that looked so gross.
Yeah,
it's like even like the sky behind them as they're like flying around just looks like it was like painted in by like a child.
Like friend of the show, frequent subscriber of the show, Kyle. He is a fan actually of some of these
Yeah.
DC CW
My brother
shows.
likes them.
And like he posted like a promo image of the one. It was like a Flash TV series one with like the new Flash was revealed, and it was like his reveal picture of him like running, and it was supposed to be like based on a comic panel of some kind or whatever. But like, fuck, man, this image looked like you know those photos they take outside of like a haunted, or like they take like photos of you when you're about to get on a ride, and they're like, oh, hey, point out the little ghost man in the corner and we'll have a picture of you pointing at the ghost going, ah, you know, those types of things. It looked like that quality. Like it looked like he had been given a costume off like out of like a chest, like, hey, pick a costume that you want to wear for this stupid photo. It looked so bad. It looked so bad. And Kyle was not making any, like, he was not putting on airs about it. He was like, this looks like shit. I just wanted to show you guys how shit this looks. It looked so bad. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I can forgive you, like, having shitty, like, special effects in your TV show up till about the year 2015, something like that. Then all of a sudden, TV shows started having great special effects, like all at once, and it's because prestige TV like really kicked off, and it's like, okay, well, now people are putting budget into TV series. Like TV shows are basically becoming like miniature movies of sorts, or like long movies if anything, because like, you know, it's like 10 hour long episodes or whatever. So I could forgive their shitty lookingness of these shows for only so long. So yeah, it was
also just like not. It's not straight up just your effects are bad. There's something like offensive more about it. I can't even put my finger on it. It's like you can have low budget effects, but there's something about like just like it just looking.
You can draw like a like, stick figure and make it aesthetically pleasing, or you can draw a stick figure and it just does not look appealing at all. And it's like,
if you turned in one of these CW shows as like your like homework at like college for like special effects, you'd get a bad grade. Like it just looks
bad, like
grossly bad. I don't know how to even.
Yeah, it's not that it looks bad. It's just that it looks so aesthetically bad, like so aesthetically unpleasing.
Yeah, everything about it. The composition, everything is just like, it's like unpleasant to look at. It's like it gives you. It's one thing if your effects are like cheap, but like if you have a visceral reaction that when people look at your content and they can't put their finger on it. Maybe they're not someone like you or I who spends 2 hours once a week just talking about movies and television on our show.
Yeah,
I mean, they can't put their finger on it, but they just know they don't like it. That's a bad sign. And everything they make has that visceral reaction where you just look at it and you're like, I don't know what it is, but this looks gross.
Yeah.
It's almost like an uncanny thing.
There's that series, very uncanny feeling. There's that series from the Quarter Digital guys where they like look at VFX that's good and bad in like movies and TV shows, and then they like react and they discuss them. And it's a fun series because they often talk about like what works in a CGI shot, what doesn't work, why is this effect failing. Like they usually talk about like, oh, this effect is not working because like the Fresnels aren't doing this and that, blah blah blah, and that's fun. And they actually reacted to like 2 CW shows, or maybe it was like the same episode in like the same video, one that was good and one that was bad. Actually, like they actually found a CW shot that looked good, and I remember like, I'm sure
there's got to be some. I mean, like
there
I'm
are
not
some
saying they're like 100% bad. It's just they have so much,
and
even the stuff they use for promotions. Yeah.
When they looked at like the difference between the good shot and the bad shot, first of all, the bad shot, holy fuck, it looked so bad. Like I'll have to find you this video so that you can see it sometime, because oh my god, the shot that they used for like the bad shot, so bad, Sweet Caroline. Anyways,
so fucking bad.
So bad.
You gotta hydrate and a posture check from the
Oh my god. Let me get my lumbar support pillow. Oh yeah, there we go. So like, but the difference that they noticed between the good shot and the bad shot is that the shot, first of all, The Good Shot still looked cheap, but it was done well, cheap, you know?
Yeah.
And like it was
good cheap. I mean, like
there was
watch
good
old
cheap.
Star Trek. Like it's
yeah.
fun to watch. It doesn't hurt your eyes. Like
And
it doesn't
it-
make you feel grossed out.
And in some ways, cheap, good special effects, in my opinion, a lot of the times are more enjoyable because it feels
Yeah,
like
I'm with
there's actual love and care like put into.
Yeah, I'm drawn to creativity. When I see people's like handiwork, I'm like, fuck yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. My favorite.
So like, but what was interesting about the difference between the Good Shot and the Bad Shot is that the Bad Shot, it seemed like they didn't film it with in mind the idea that they were going to have to do special effects. Like the shots were not constructed or set up in a way that would be conducive to being done up in post, you know? Like when you shoot a special effects shot, you do like shoot it with certain things changed. Like you don't just shoot it straight and then like fix everything in post. Like if you're gonna have like a lightning zap somebody, even if the lightning's gonna be done in post, you still shine a light and like flash a light where the lightning is gonna like be to simulate like light that the lightning would cast, you know what I mean? And that's not
Yeah.
exactly what they did in these, but that's like an example. And so like for the flash, and like the flash shot was more impressive, like because the flash shot was the Good Shot, because it was like him zapping from like a fucking fire escape down to the ground and like around, like he was like zapping like around to different elevations and shit like that on like a building, if I remember correctly. And that was impressive. Like it's a very ambitious shot and it looked good. It looked cheap, but it looked good. And it was because you could tell that when they filmed it, they took into account like what are we going to have to do in post, and like they accounted for that, and they shot it in a way that was both aesthetically pleasing. Like the shot that looked bad was shot flat. It looked like a soap opera, you know, how they like have like the focal length.
That was what I was gonna say. Not to cut you off, but
Oh yeah.
that's an example I thought of that when you were talking that like explains that kind of weird like visceral reactions. Like you turn on a soap opera. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how well made it is. You just see it, and you're like, this looks wrong. This looks messed up.
Yeah.
It looks gross to my eyes.
And that's not because they're shot at 30, 60 frames per second, where like soap operas are shot at like a higher frame rate for some reason. Weird. But yeah, the Supergirl shot, which was the bad one, you could just tell that it was shot flat. It was shot very soap opera. The shots, even if they weren't touched up in post, would look ugly. And the shots in the Flash one, if they weren't touched up in post, would still be engaging and would still be fun to look at. So it's like, it's not even like the budget that's the issue. It's the vision. I don't know.
I agree. I think that's putting it into words what I was trying to break down as well. It's like I'm not offended by cheapness.
Mhm.
I'm offended by just like bad art.
Yeah.
You can make good art with a low budget. It's harder, but it can be done.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm not offended by the fact that you didn't have the money to make like fucking Fast and Furious like $500 million whatever craziness. I'm offended by just like the gross choices you made or something. I don't know what it's something to do with the art.
Yeah. It's definitely like the execution is so important. And the CW shows,
You
just,
can
I
make
don't,
good
I don't
art
know what they're doing.
without the resources. It just takes way longer. Which
Or it just takes
you
more
know.
creativity. It takes more. You got to do
Sure.
more sort of faking it sort of thing.
when you're also if you're working on a team making a show, you don't have unlimited time to make it look right.
Exactly.
I get it.
Yeah.
There's deadlines, there's things like that. But I'm just saying, like, low budget isn't necessarily a death sentence if you have people that are really talented or know what they're doing. I'm not just blaming the art team either. It's just a weird. It's got to be some choice they're making because all their things have a similar look to them too. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like oh, this is just what this amount of money gets you, because
Yeah.
you don't see it everywhere. You just see it. You watch the CW like DC shit, and it all just has this weird look to it. Like the head art director has like needs to be fired or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, or they just like they hired a guy who's gonna you know what, I bet I wouldn't be surprised if, because they're like low budget, if like they're also trying to like hire people who are gonna save on that budget, so they're like they pick a guy who's just gonna say fuck it, I don't care. You know, like they want a guy who's gonna say fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah, they probably forced them to. I'm sure the art director's probably like tortured by the shit he puts out, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Like
usually the case. I can't say for sure, but that's how it often goes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's not about the budget, folks. It's all about the vision, is really what it comes down to.
Also, you know, if you're watching this and you're a tortured art director who wants to make great stuff, but whatever you're working in won't let you, I get that happens too. I don't know. You know, when you're working on these projects that take like a literal village worth of people to create, it's hard to put your finger on the problem, but it's just so consistently the same problem.
Yeah.
That it's like, what is the cause? I want to know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because like, so I just I was doing some chores today and yesterday, and when I was doing the chores, I was listening to like a podcast. I was listening to the Always Sunny podcast, and I happened to be listening to the episode where they're talking about their respective movies that they had just released. This was like a May episode or something like that. So like at the time, Glenn Howerton had just acted in Blackberry, and Charlie had just released his movie Fool's Paradise.
Right.
And it was interesting because they're talking about like how when you're making a movie, there's so many moving parts. There's so many people who are doing like so many different jobs. Like it's so easy for one small thing to sort of like ruin so much because you've got so many moving parts. Like it's like when we're making cartoons and stuff, like it's us, it's Lisa for the Empty Head Buffet shorts. So it's like amongst the three of us, it's easy if something is like going awry to course correct. But like when you're
right, only three people have to speak to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking to the entire creative team with
but
a
like
3-person conversation.
Yeah, but like for a movie like that, like of like Hollywood size, it's like turning a boat, you know, you don't just like spin the wheel and all of a sudden you're going in a different direction. It's going to take like an hour for the boat to turn around and like chart that new course, and it's like that's interesting.
Right. And often the people who are doing the work have nothing to do with the funding. So like
yeah.
It's like if all the people who are like molding the clay, they don't own the clay. So you have to talk to the, you know, like you don't just get to do what you want. You have to like, all right, hey, okay, so this is going to cost more. This is here's what we're going to do. Like it's like a lot of moving parts. You can't just grab the wheel and
yank it. Yeah.
I don't know.
So it's interesting. It's interesting to consider like what goes wrong in those productions.
It's a double-edged sword because you need that kind of giant team to create the kind of stuff that we've all like come to know and love.
Take for granted almost.
Like you know, 3 people couldn't make the kind of stuff that we expect and have we expect and like have standards for. Like
as much as we talk shit, like the 3 of us couldn't make that shitty Supergirl scene.
Exactly. Like, like the amount of like hands on deck needed to create these things that we're like, it sucked. Next. Like you need that, but also that's also the thing that kills a lot of those projects.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird like
double-edged sword.
Catch-22.
Catch-22 is good, by the way. I've watched that series. It was good.
I didn't know that was a show.
Oh yeah, the George Clooney, like back in 2019, came out with like a Hulu limited run series based on the books.
Ocean's 22.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
It's good. It's good though. Brandon,
have we talked about a couple Halloween-y movies, but have you watched or played or seen anything else in the last 2 weeks? think I have a couple I can throw out that I've seen. I won't spend as much time as we just did, but
Not that I can think of like off the top of my head, but it might be a good time to go to break before we talk about these.
it is. Yeah, once we finish this drawing, I think. I like this one. Fun.
Yeah, this is good. This is funny. I like how we have 2 dead people.
Well, one's not dead yet.
That's true. Although I kind of did I'm realizing now I did my shading. I'm going to try and make my shading fit yours just a little more.
Yeah, sorry.
I was going
You would
for...
have gone first. I would have followed your lead. Oh yeah, the sun's behind him. It makes sense.
Sometimes it's... So, you know, I learned, though, one of the most important lessons I learned is that sometimes realistic shading isn't the best looking shading.
That's true. Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta fucking put the sun...
In my head, I was just like they're on the beach, so you're like just like consumed by sun.
The sand would reflect a shit ton of light back to the front of them.
Yeah,
Like I don't think the sun would...
Just kind of in the water, everything. You're just kind of bright. It's just bright in every direction.
Yeah.
But
There we go. This is much
regardless,
more. Your style of shading is what I affectionately refer to as the Joe cartoon kind of shading, where it's like an outline more so than it is like a. But it's good. It's good for like helping separate the visual elements because that little, it's like ambient occlusion.
for me, it's like Yeah, it's like quick cartoon shading. Like
yeah.
if I want to do some like more realistic shading, I'll do it. But if I'm trying to make a drawing real fast, then just slap on some.
Yeah, it's really like it is like doing like the ambient occlusion is like, you know, and to put it in video game terminology. All right, I think I'm done. I don't know. I think
All right, cool.
man, I can't wait to jerk off to this picture later on. Wow.
Yeah. This is in very, very, very slow motion. That's why it's not moving at all.
Yeah. The theme song from Baywatch is still playing though.
I don't actually know the theme song.
I don't
I wonder
either.
if I'd know it if I heard it.
I feel like I
I
would.
feel like Baywatch would be a fun show to watch now.
Yeah, I feel like it's goofy. I feel like it'd probably it's like how in Star Trek they have like that episode where Kirk has like this rare blood disease and then Spock walks in the room. He's like, I should let you know, I have blood that cures this disease, but I also cannot give him the blood. And that's like the fucking drama of the episode. I feel like Baywatch would be equally contrived, you know?
Yeah, I'm at a point in my life. I don't know what brought me here. I feel like you're to blame a little bit, but I like trash. And if it's campy trash, it's like even sweeter.
Yeah, no, I mean,
like,
trash is only good if it's like, if it fits a certain, like trash is trash
like,
until it's like, it has like one extra qualifier that suddenly elevates it. And campiness is a great way to elevate trash.
but there's something also about trash that's like been aged. It's like old trash. Like is even better.
It's like wine.
It's like it's a fine wine. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Baywatch, because it's this like time capsule of the 90s or whatever. It may or 80 or late 80s or whatever it was. It might even be better now. You know.
Yeah. No,
I don't know anything about it.
agree.
I've never seen an episode.
Yeah, I did not watch it when it was, I don't know if I was alive when it was like making new episodes. I don't think so.
I think they were going in the early 90s still.
Probably.
I think. I don't know, but I think I'm gonna watch some Baywatch now.
What's it on?
I don't
We'll
know.
find
How
out.
many? What kind of confrontations can arise on the beach, like that you can do for more than like 2 seasons? Like people drowning.
I think it gets pretty
What else
wacky
is
by
there?
the end of it. Like I'm pretty sure they start thwarting crime.
Good.
I think they do a lot of thwarting crime actually.
Yeah, I think that's kind of their main thing. Like, you know, this is
They're
their
kinda like
jurisdiction, even though the
beach
only job is to keep
detectives.
people from. They're just trying to keep people from drowning, but yeah, they become beach detectives, and
Yeah.
that sounds great.
So we go on to a break
Alright.
and we'll be back in
I
a
think it's
short.
break time.
All right, be right back, folks. Wow.
Wow.
You.
Yippee.
Yippee! Ooh, actually, I put that on my soundboard.
You do it pretty well. Where like you started to play your soundboard, and for a second I thought it was you again.
Yippee!
Yeah, you got it.
Were you
that kid?
I got perfect pitch. What could I say?
I was that baby boy. That baby boy was me.
Tiny boy, baby boy, I need you. Ooh, ah, ooh. Actually, I have a sound on my soundboard, and I know I'm gonna realize what it is once I press it and be like, oh, of course it's that, but I don't know what this button is. It's a big question mark with a little shuffle sign on it.
Huh?
Oh yeah. That makes sense.
Huh?
Huh?
Ole mole. You gotta get ole mole.
Ole mole. I also gotta get that sound, you know, that one.
I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
It's like this guy snoring, it turns out, but
yeah.
it's like
Yeah, yeah. I do know what you're talking about. The snore.
Yeah, the snore. It's such a crazy sound.
Anyways, we're back.
Hey, we're
be
talking
back.
about memes.
Yeah! We're memeing over here. Yay!
Meme. Yeah. Oh, Brandon, I had a thought about what we could
Yes.
draw.
Okay.
So I had a thought about, you ever hear those like, you ever like see those drawings where they take one thing that's conceptual and then they sort of like apply it to a broader sort of scale? If that like,
I probably have, but I need more context.
I don't have any example other than what I'm just going to tell you right now, where it's, so you know, mimics in like role-playing games and things like
in
that.
the D&D world.
Yeah, where it's like, you know, you got a treasure chest, you open the treasure chest, it's a big old fucking mouth and it eats you. Dark Souls
I'm familiar.
did such cool mimics. You've never played Dark Souls, but Dark Souls has mimics in them. So it's like you'll be playing Dark Souls.
Surprised there was none in Elden Ring. to be
I
honest.
was too. I'm surprised I haven't run into it yet, and I don't think I will. But I think it's because Dark Souls kind of. But like Dark Souls will be fun because there's like treasure chests to open in Dark Souls, and then you won't find a mimic till like the first 30 hours into the game, and then you'll just open a chest and it fucking eats you and like spits you out, and it's got like its own move set, and it's like got this big. Have you ever seen the mimics in Dark Souls?
No, I don't even know what they look like.
I'll post a picture in the draw pile real quick, but they're so cool looking, and they have like these move sets. And like the best thing about the mimics in Dark Souls is that they are visually different. Like, you know, they look like every other closed chest that you'd see in Dark Souls, but there's one difference, and that like the chests in Dark Souls have this little chain that's like hanging off the side, and the mimics in Dark Souls, their chain is like angular, whereas the regular chests, like their chain is more like sort of like a Bezier curve sort of thing. So it's cool because it's like, first of all, you can't. I've posted a mimic from Dark Souls. This is actually an action figure.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, whoa, the graphics.
Yeah, I mean the graphics look like that. It's
unsettling.
It's great, and it's got like a cool moveset.
It's funny the proportions, because like you'd think it'd be more. The chest is only like 20% of the thing, and then like this full body. I want to see the animation where it
eats you.
up.
Oh yeah, I can show you that for sure.
Where it like goes from like being just a chest to being a monster.
I can definitely find you a video of that. I'll do it like after the
first time you see that has to be like a moment.
It's such a
in the
moment.
game.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a chat. Like you like what it is you go to this new area, and the area is like the coolest area. Like visually, at least until this other coolest, it's like the second coolest area visually, but it's like you get sent to this area in Dark Souls and you're just like, holy fuck, and then you realize you've unlocked like the other half of the game. You know?
Yeah. Elden Ring had some of those moments too.
Yeah, and so you get to this like new fantastic looking area. You're like, oh my god, what is in store for me? You find the very first treasure chest in the area, you open it, and that one opens fine. And then you go walk a little bit, you fight some dudes who are giant statues, and you see another chest. And you're like, oh great. And you go and open that one. It eats you. It's so rude.
I mean that they wait that long to do it too.
They wait so long. They really get you comfortable with chests. It's brilliant. So
it obviously struck a chord with people because I remember when Elden Ring came out, everybody was like scared of chests, and I didn't understand that. But like, I mean, I know the concept of a mimic, but like, I remember seeing people in like the Reddit and stuff being like terrified of their finding chests.
Yeah,
because of how Dark Souls had scarred them.
Mm-hmm. And it's great too because again, like if you know what to look for, you can tell a mimic from a regular chest. You just got to check the chain, which is brilliant. Like all things Dark Souls, like it's rude and it's mean and it'll kill you, but you can technically avoid it if you know what to look out for. And I love that.
There
That's
are
like Dark
patterns.
Souls. Yeah,
that's good. I think it, like, if you're gonna make a game that hard, you got to make it like play by rules, so that people feel like, oh, this is my own fault, or you know, like if you feel like you've been cheated by a game, it takes the fun out. You're like, fuck you, like.
Yeah, and Dark Souls
if you
definitely
feel like,
cheats
all right,
sometimes.
Sure.
But
sure.
for the most part, it's fair. Like FromSoft games are mean and they're hard and they're rude, but for the most part, they are fair. And if they like. There'll be like those moments where they kill you and they're like, ha, you're dead. But they'll do it in specific points where like, if you lost a bunch of souls, you can get your souls back. If you know, this or that, or like, it's like where you wouldn't have had a lot of souls anyways. They're very deliberate and they're very smart about when they fuck you over without like any recourse for you. But they also normally give you recourse.
I feel like the first FromSoft style game was like Punch Out on NES. It's like there are rules, there are patterns. If you pay attention and take the time to learn it, you'll have no problem. But
Mike Tyson will blink.
It's very hard
before he does his one-hit kill.
but we promise he'll blink every time he does it. So if you're watching, you know, it won't. You'll have some edge.
So they're the mimics. So I thought about like what. You know, treasure chest mimics are a thing, obviously. What else could be mimics?
Yeah.
And I had two ideas that I thought were cool. Or actually three.
A toilet is like an obvious, like, just like danger zone.
I was thinking like umbrella, like a mimic umbrella would be cool. A coat or a car where you're in a car. And like either the door itself has teeth and it's like the outside of the car looks like a normal car and you open the door and then it eats you because the entire car is a mimic, or the glove compartment in a car.
Just a specific piece.
Yeah.
What happens if you crawl inside of a transformer? It's like similar vibe.
Like like the robots in disguise and like it transforms.
They're like, oh shit, this dude.
Oh fuck.
I can grind him up. No problem.
Yeah, I think I imagine you just get ground up.
I need to transform, but I need to transform, but there's a guy in me and I don't want to kill him.
It's like when an animal crawls inside your engine and you turn your engine on. You know?
You're like, I gotta get to work, but there's a cute little kitten on my engine block.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Oh, bye, kitten. No. Oh jeez, that would I would get that cat out. I wouldn't go to work.
I know we say like a lot of dark stuff, but like you could, if you're watching this, you could see that one bothered both of us. We're like, no, that's a joke. That wasn't a good joke. That hurt me.
Yeah, it hurt to make that joke.
We went to, it was a mistake, but we were going grocery shopping, and right next to the grocery store there was a like Petco or something, and they had like a sign, like out on the street that was like kitten adoptions today, and we're like, well, we should probably go look. And we walked in there, and man, that was tough.
Yeah.
They really like brought their A game. You could tell like the adoption agencies were like, all right, grab like the 8 cutest, most like well socialized, well behaved kittens that like love people, bring them in here, because they were all just like yeah, pick up any of them, and they're all just like,
It'll
couldn't
lick
get
your
enough. It was
nose.
just- yeah, it awoke something in both of us. We're like, do we need a third cat? Are we doing this? We didn't. But
You guys were close. You were on the cusp.
it was close. I felt you know, felt the feeling. We've
When
tried
you-
to have 3 cats before.
It does not
Didn't
work.
work last time.
Yeah.
It can work.
It's hard. When you left though, the
You
one
have
of the
3.
I do. I mean, they don't get along, and it's the one cat is a terror to the other cats, and I feel bad for the other cats. But we don't have much choice. When you guys left that cat store without getting any cats, though, one of the kittens looked at you guys and then put a cigar in its mouth and went, "What? You guys just gonna go come in here window shop? I licked
Yeah.
you."
No. One of the kittens pointed at a sign that says "No loitering."
Yeah. That's yeah. I try to avoid pet shops because I will get too sad. I will want
It's hard
to.
to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to go. Like, it's just a danger zone. There was literally like people around. Like, we were at the shop and there was somebody pulling a cat out and signing papers, and it was like this elderly,
Oh.
like fluffy cat. It was beautiful, and they're like, "We just came here for birdseed." Like, now we're going home with a family member.
Yeah.
That happens.
It does. That's how they get you. So yeah, I just thought it would be cool to draw. We don't have to do that this episode or anything like that, but at some point I want to draw just like a bunch of different like weird mimics.
That is a good idea. Maybe we'll get to next time. Real quick, I think the drawing I was doing, Elba Rock wrote beautiful Squidward, but now I want to try to draw muscle Squidward.
Yeah, I thought you were.
Also, any thoughts on the new Rick and Morty voices? I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I'm a few
have to
seasons behind
imagine.
Rick and Morty.
I have to imagine probably be fine or good enough. You know, like especially considering the context of what I know. In a
Yeah.
social way. I'm like,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, just bring new
anything.
voices. Yeah.
Anything that's not him.
Yeah, keep
You
him
know?
far away.
Like, I'm not like, oh, it doesn't sound like him. Cool. Then I'd feel less guilty watching this.
Yeah. So it's interesting because he was also one of the main voices in Solar Opposites, and I'm curious.
They fully changed his.
They fully
did
changed.
some,
He's like a British guy now. They did like a voice changer.
They straight
Ray.
up did some like he got like hit by something and his voice just changed, which I think is like
That's so funny.
since he has 2 shows that are like similarly like anything can happen. I think that was a good way to go with one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I love how in the first season of Solar Opposites, when they're gonna start one of their plot lines, sometimes they'll straight up say like, "Hey, it's my sci-fi bullshit Ray," and they just like call
Yeah.
it like actively call it sci-fi bullshit in the show, which is what it is ultimately to like drive the plot forward. And I like how they're just calling it out. I think that's good.
It's funny because Rick and Morty feels so like fourth wall breaky, and then they do it even more.
Yeah, they somehow managed to break the wall even harder. But so
Jericho.
interestingly enough, there are 2 things I have to say about the voices. One, I can't give my opinion because I haven't been caught up on Rick and Morty for like a couple seasons. But also, this is a story that I heard. I don't know the veracity of these claims. Take with this as a grain of salt. But they released like a trailer for the new season a while back. And there was a bunch of comments going like, "These voices don't sound anything like Justin Roiland. Bring back Justin Roiland." And then like apparently Justin Roiland had voiced the voices that were used in the clips for that trailer. So people were complaining and saying the voices sounded
That's
different,
awesome.
but they were Justin Roiland. And then I've also heard people say like, "Oh yeah, the voices sound completely the same. There's like no difference."
They're not. I mean, I will say first off, this isn't a criticism because it's part of the charm, I think. But Justin Roiland's not that talented of a voice actor. He does
No.
3 voices over and over and over. I mean, that's part of what I liked about Rick and Morty. I thought it was funny that just like it felt like complicated, but also just like lazy.
Yeah.
Like it was like that's like the vibe.
It was hitting
I'm
both
okay
of
with
those
that.
extremes at the same, like of being very complicated and earnest, but at the same time, like it's like I think you mentioned this before, but it used to be like Dan Harmon would write a bunch of heart into the script, and then Justin Roiland would come in and like make noises the whole time and make fart jokes.
Yeah, they brought him in to kind of like make a story out of it, out of his just like mess type thing. And I think it worked well.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad he's gone. I'm not trying to like. I just don't want to also come off as that guy that's like, yeah, I always hated it. Like I
yeah.
I
No,
feel like
it's a formula that works.
Not be like, but it was good. But you know, I mean, it was part of like the joke. Like everything was named like a name that sounds the same. Like we're welcome. They're like it's an unlimited universe, and they're like welcome to like Schmoopy Doop Town, and I'm Mayor Poop. Like everything felt.
I'm
lazy.
Mayor Skrunkle or some shit like that. You know.
And it was kind of the whole. It was on purpose. Like it felt lazy. So his voices are also lazy, and so like get one talented like person who can like replicate a voice in your set and go right back to business as usual. And I don't know about these claims either, but according to a lot of the studios, this could also be like trying to just separate themselves from him.
Yeah.
So it might not be true, but they were saying like he hasn't even like helped.
He barely shows
in,
up.
like, years.
Yeah. So who knows?
That's true or not, I don't know.
I can sort of believe it. I mean, he was working on video games for like the last couple years, and I'm sure that's no small like amount of effort. So it's like if you're doing work in video games and in like a TV show, you know, I'm sure
you're busy like grooming a bunch of children. It keeps you busy. You know,
yeah, it keeps you very busy.
You don't have time to do all this stuff. You know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Whatever. Hopefully it's great. I like the show. I want it to keep going and being good. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. But so yeah, I guess you asked our opinions on the voices, and we spent a half hour being like,
we don't have one.
I don't know. We haven't watched it. We don't have one.
It's our 10-minute answer to say, I
haven't watched it, but hopefully it's good.
Hopefully, yeah. I've heard people say it sounds the same. I can't. I'm never gonna. You know, I hear things, but I only ever trust my judgment on it. So we'll have to see.
Same. I guess getting back to like what we were saying earlier, I can't imagine. I would be very surprised if they can't just like fully replicate it. Like it doesn't seem that hard.
It's like they had to hire a person to replace.
Nuanced to begin with.
Yeah, they had to hire a person to replace Kermit the Frog's voice, and I know like 5 people in person who I've met like in person who can do like a perfect Kermit the Frog voice. So it's not like a voice is impossible to replace. Now, you know, there are things that like a person brings to a voice, like choices they make, things like that. There's been enough Rick and Morty where I'm sure a person can sort of extrapolate what choices Roiland was going to make with the voices and do pretty much the exact same job he would have done. Who knows? Again,
only time will tell.
Yep. Leviathan Den says, only way I can describe the new voice is less raspy, more fluent. Well, I know. So, like, I mean, I don't know if this is at all what you're talking about. I do know that, like, in the beginning of the show, Rick was a lot more burpy.
Yeah, he was a lot more annoying. I thought it was funny at the time, like, when it was, like...
fresh.
It was the first episode, the pilot, and then you have to wait, like... I don't know, it was, like, a few months before, like, they actually started dropping episodes. And I was like, okay, I'm here for it. But I could see how that would just have lost... everyone's patience real quick, even my own at a certain point. Especially if you go back now, it's just like he seems extra unhinged. I always liked, as a fan of the show, the way I watched the pilot was like, we're watching him at like maybe the drunkest we've ever seen him type thing. Is kind of how I always took it. Yeah,
like that's like his like rock bottom is the start of the show, and it's like sort of him climbing up from rock bottom.
But as another like way to talk about it from like a general audience's point, my brother likes the show now, but I remember sending him the pilot and he was like, this is the most annoying shit. I can't watch this. The guy just is the main guy is like the most annoying guy. Won't stop burping, all the stuff. So I think there's probably a lot of people that felt that way. I'm okay with whatever. Like I like weird shit, but
Yeah. I'm sure there's
making it a little less like every line is like taking you along for a ride just to get him to talk. Like this probably wears on some people's patience.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that. And I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if when they brought the new guy on, they were like, hey, can you make him like less, you know?
Yeah. Oh, we can finally give notes because
yeah, true. Also,
guy.
We have a guy who's probably like hungry and willing to take notes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that plays into it or if that is at all maybe even what the type of fluency you were referring to. I don't know.
All speculation. Really.
Yeah, we are.
Us.
This is just all. This is the speculation, Bob.
Double Rocket says, "Oh, you're actually drawing beautiful, Squidward. I feel seen. Thanks, Brando."
There you
it's
go.
Just, it's SpongeBob. Just like what a great example of the
goat.
The like yeah, they're the goat, but like the reward that both the viewers and the creators can get if you let people go off guide for character models.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
you watch something like Simpsons slowly turn into this like
yeah,
I haven't watched Simpsons in like a decade, but like I'm sure everything is like you never see the characters never break their shape, and in the early seasons they're stretchy, they're bendy, they're like there's all these like smear animations, things like that.
Yeah, you won't find a smear frame in like New Simpsons.
SpongeBob has been a gift to both audiences and the people making it because they have let them like a weird reaction happens and they get to draw the character in like they basically get to draw like a meme of the character.
Yeah.
In the show, they can totally break the art guide whenever they want. It pays off in such good ways.
Yeah, and say what you will about new SpongeBob, I don't have a lot of good things to say about new SpongeBob episodes. I've caught a couple, and I don't care to watch more new SpongeBob episodes that are currently releasing.
In the same place, unfortunately.
But they do still break model. They still do goofy faces. Sometimes I saw one clip that was recent, and I was just like, I don't know, you guys went way too far on this face.
I felt that way too. I saw one. I forget what it was. It was something like.
Was he in a car with Mrs. Puff or something like that?
No, it was something like gross where like I forget what it was, but he like stubbed his toe really hard, but it was like his toenail like it was like something gross.
Oh
like,
god!
Like they just like drew like these weird like frames that were not needed. It was just something like
STBB 700.
I don't know. They're always
like,
going for it, and I can't get mad at them for that. But
yeah, like whether or not they're successful is a different matter, but at least they're doing it. Like you said, Simpsons never go off model. It's like how Garfield eventually like started looking like copy and paste like clip arts for every.
He got rounder and rounder, lost all
personality,
like, all signs of it being drawn by a human's hand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It starts to look like I think that's the best way to describe it. It stops looking drawn and starts looking like, let me drag out from my like library
yeah
Garfield images, which one would work best in this scene type thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the shows, I mean, Family Guy kind of went that route too. Like,
yeah, 100%. Family Guy always was sort of that way, but Family Guy definitely like worse. they got more rigid. They got less personalized, like for the characters. The aesthetics
looks like it comes out of a Flash library instead of actually being drawn.
Yeah, and it just does not. It's not aesthetically pleasing, and anyway. Although, like, what's funny is I talked to some animators, and like that, the style of Family Guy is called like premium animation or something like that, like the thin lines that like Rick and Morty, Family Guy, like all those like these Western shows that have like thin lines and like are very on model. That's like called premium
Uh-huh.
animation because like it looks more expensive or something like that. I don't remember exactly. I
I
could be wrong. No, I disagree too, but
maybe
that's like
it looks
the
more expensive for a viewer, but like for somebody who makes animation, I'm like, that looks cheaper.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
looks like you have a like assembly line for animation versus like somebody actually like making choices and a storyboarder who gets to have fun and like pitch an episode and like in a pitch room and everybody laughs at like the weird drawings he did and then they make their way into the episode. Like that's how that stuff gets in normally. But when you've created this giant thing that just needs to like run like a machine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been hired by anybody to make animation, so maybe my opinion isn't that important or valid.
Yeah, I'm unsuccessful. So what do I fucking know?
I'm speaking purely as a consumer, but
Yeah.
you know, as from the visual side of things, there's stuff that looks good to me and stuff that doesn't look good to me.
So yeah.
Bubba Rocket says, I cringe at the one where SpongeBob keeps failing his driving test because he floors it. So his solution is to poke a hole in his shoe with his big toe so he can just lightly tap the pedal with his toe. I know exactly what you're talking about.
The Cyrano de Bergerac
it's the one where-
episode.
Yeah, Patrick's back home putting on SpongeBob's clothes and talking to him through a walkie-talkie inside his hat.
Yeah. That's that episode is Cyrano de Bergerac. Like that's just what it is. Like we can all call it the Cyrano de Bergerac
You
episode.
just love to. I've heard you describe things in that way more than.
Because that's the plot
I've
line.
actually
It's the. Do you know what Cyrano de Bergerac is?
Of course I do, because I know you, and you bring it up 100 times.
Well, it's because so many things
year.
reference it. It's like if you had a guy get crucified and then he arose 3 days later and you didn't call it a Jesus story, okay?
It's like a Romeo. I mean, it's like there's classic archetypes for stories that are just done forever and ever now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cyrano de Bergerac is the ugly guy or whatever. Like,
he's got a big nose.
Helps a dumb, good-looking guy who can't talk to women. Like he's like ugly, but he's good with like words.
Yeah,
and
like
so
what
he like hides in the bushes and tells the guy what to say, so that this guy can like woo.
I think in the original
he wants.
I think in the original he has letters that he writes for the guy, and then he crosses like battlefield lines to deliver the letters back and forth. But like he writes the guy's letters. I think that's how it works in the original.
But it's been done a million times now, and it's like the plot of so many rom-coms and shit.
Yeah.
And then I think also like in the original, as well as all the things that have copied it, the lady eventually like is like, oh, it turns out I love the guy writing it. Or
not
whatever,
in the original. I think in the original.
Usually,
not in the original. I think in the original he just dies. I think that's how it goes. I need to
like
I need to refresh
the
myself.
Final seasons
on Cyrano.
Is it like like Bergerac just said Hitch? Yeah, that's
Hitch
also
is,
a copy of it.
Yeah, it's
Hitch
Cyrano
de Bergerac.
Here, Hitch is Cyrano de Bergerac. Yeah.
Except that's the reverse, because he's like, I'm so handsome and smooth, and I'm gonna
he's
help you.
He's the Cyrano de Bergerac for
schlubs.
Kevin James. Yeah.
But so if Cyrano de Bergerac dies in the original, is it like the end seasons of like Game of Thrones, where like the books don't exist anymore, so now all the smart characters just have nothing to say and they just stand in the background? Like what's the one guy everyone loves?
Tyrion.
Tyrion, like he's got the best like monologues. He's the smartest character. He says like all these interesting things. He's so like charismatic the whole show, and then as soon as they get past where the books end, he just sits in the back and he's like, yes, my queen, and doesn't say anything. I never watched Game of Thrones past when that one episode that we watched where we heard all of Philadelphia cheer when the guy got his throat cut. That was a great moment. That was a moment.
But also I haven't watched past, because that was when you were coming to visit Philly or visit me in person for the first time. We were going to see each other in person for the first time. So I started trying to catch up on Game of Thrones for when we were going to watch that episode, and I only got so far. And I never actually finished because I like as soon as like that season was over, that's when everyone was like, "Oh, the show's shit now. Don't fucking," and like It's
Yeah.
funny how quickly like people don't even talk about the good episodes of Game of Thrones anymore.
I
Those
know,
episodes were so bad.
It's funny how like if you don't stick the landing, it can just kind
It
of, like,
really
fuck up the
fucks
legacy.
everything. And to be fair though, like I get it,
kind
because
of-
like the I Am Legend movie I thought was a lot of fun until like the end that they threw in where Will Smith like sacrifices himself with a grenade and then the family is
Yeah.
just like, he was a hero.
He was legend.
Yeah, and then like you find out that that was the Hollywood rewrite of the ending, and they actually had a better ending that they filmed and like was in the film until like test audiences were
Tale
like,
as old as time.
I know, right? But like
It's funny,
that ending was so bad. I'm like, I call I Am Legend just a bad movie. Like that's just
I
that's
think
how it goes.
because you get embarrassed and you can't recommend anything. You can't like recommend it to people because they're like, they're gonna get to that part and they're gonna be like, wait, this fucker said this movie was all right.
It's like if I went to a restaurant and I got like an amazing meal, but like I told you about this amazing menu item, and it's like, yeah, you gotta try this, you gotta try the chicken Alfredo, but I gotta warn you, there is a byline on the menu. Once you finish eating the chicken Alfredo, a boxer has to come and punch you directly in the dick. And there's no way to avoid that. If you eat the chicken Alfredo, the boxer has to punch you in the dick. Like, you don't want to recommend
It's
that
true.
dish anymore. The chicken Alfredo could be delicious.
You can't recommend that restaurant anymore.
You can't recommend
Yeah,
it.
I thought the route you were gonna go is something like you go to a restaurant and like every course is amazing and they're like, and now for dessert, and it's just like a bowl of like diarrhea. And you're like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I can't ever come back here and I can't tell anyone I've ever been here and I
Yeah.
can't recommend this to anyone. Even though
Exactly.
those first two courses were the best food I ever had.
These are both
Like
good
that-
metaphors.
The fact that they put a bowl of diarrhea on the plate at the end is like, I feel ashamed for having been part of this at all.
I think both of our metaphors work extremely effectively.
Yeah. Choose your own.
Yeah, choose your metaphor.
Pick whatever you like. Bella Rocket says she was also expecting poop cake dessert. So there you go. Our minds went the same route.
Oh yeah. I look at that. For once, I was less crass than your expectations. How often does that
It's-
happen?
Our minds are slowly like merging into one most of the time. So I'm excited when it doesn't happen that way.
That's true.
There's been
Yeah.
some really weird ones. I remember one time this is just one example, but it sticks out in my mind. We were gonna do a Stardew Valley playthrough together.
Oh yeah, yeah. I still
And-
tell people about this.
And we're like, all right, yeah, it makes you make your character and then you can join the world and play together. And we legit, like, you're in the
Pick the
character
same
creator
shirt.
and like, if you've played Stardew, it's like, there's like
There's like 30
quite a few
different shirt
options.
options.
there's like 30 different shirts, like 50 hairdos, and then you can pick, and they literally give you the color wheel to pick your colors.
Mhm.
And so we spent like, I don't know, 10 minutes each doing that. We appeared in the thing. We had the same shirt and like the same sunglasses. And
Yeah, we did choose the
we
same
looked,
sunglasses.
like, almost identical to each other. Our hair was slightly different, and it was just like, oh god damn, we're like the same person.
Yeah, yeah. I do remember that, and I think about that.
If you can come out of a character creator and you made the same character,
That says something.
hang out less.
Yeah, maybe. Or hang out more. More weight. Anyways, I played Stardew for about. You know what's funny is I have
Surprised. I feel
never.
like Bell Rocket would dig it, but I don't know. I guess.
Well,
I
she
don't
played
fully
it for a
know what
week
kind of
straight.
games You like.
So she dug it
Oh,
enough
okay.
to play it nonstop for a whole week. She just doesn't like. She came away with nothing. Which, you know, what's interesting? I've never gotten further than a week in game time in Stardew Valley. I've never gotten further.
It's a really addicting game, I think, but it's especially addicting if you have someone to play with.
Yeah, I think I've started a lot of files with people, but like it always kind of like falls through because
That's
of
the hard part, is syncing up.
you gotta play. It's definitely like a girlfriend game. Like you play it with your
It's a great
significant
girlfriend
other.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some games where they just functionally are work. Like It Takes Two is a weird game to play with your significant other because it is about like a divorcing family, but it is a game that like it's perfect for playing with your significant other.
No, it all works.
It all works.
Bella Rocket says, it was an all-encompassing game for 7 days straight, and now I don't remember any of it. It's like I was detached from reality. I
That's
imagine
what they
what
call
gambling addicts do. Yeah.
Disassociating.
Yeah, you basically like maybe there was also like a
Were you resolving some trauma?
carbon monoxide leak happening in your house at the same time.
You had just recently like seen a car wreck and you were using that to
You're like-
sort of
I'm farming.
farming. I didn't see a
Radishes or
person.
tomato.
I didn't see a machination of flesh twisted amongst steel. I did not witness the death of a man. I witnessed crops growing. Brandon!
Do you have anything to plug?
Tomorrow, 11 a.m.
Yeah, that's what I
Eastern
was gonna plug.
Standard /savings time, which is whenever we post our things, because I don't. It just seems like a good time to post.
It's the best time. It's proven. You know, we ran it through all our numbers, all our computers, our algorithm. We spoke to multiple, groups of people.
We did the checks.
Very expensive.
Yeah, all that research cost us a pretty penny. We have a new short coming out. We've been working on it. I want to say we've been working on it for 3 weeks, but honestly, we worked on it for like a week and a half, and then I just fucking sat on my hands and didn't edit it for a
We've
while.
all been busy.
We've been busy.
Amongst us, we were working. We had birthdays. We had vacations. We were busy.
Yeah.
That's all right.
I had some assignments to get done. Assignments. That sounds
But
like
yeah,
schoolwork.
It's a good one. I like it. I'm excited for it to be released.
If I could redo one thing about the sketch, I would have tried to find a more of a button to end on, if you know what I mean. I tried.
You feel like it ends too openy.
No, I just feel like it kind of ends without feeling too much like an ending, sort of.
Okay.
You know, but I don't know what we would
You
add.
can put it back in the oven and think
Nah,
about
I don't. I'm so emotionally done.
it. All right.
No one's paying me to make these goddamn cartoons that if I'm emotionally past it, they're not getting
That's
worked
fair.
on.
That's fair. I do know that that's like the official term for when you're finished with something. You say, I'm emotionally done with this.
I do, and you know what? That's how long I work on something. I work on it until I'm fucking sick of it, and then I never want to see it again.
It's a baby that you birth and raise, and then you get to the point that you hate it. You never
Yeah.
want to see it again.
This kid doesn't even
The
call
real-
me on my birthday.
It's a real trip. We also, a friend of the show, Zone Dog, created some graphics for this one, which
He
I'm
did.
very
You're
excited
right. It's
to show
great that
off
we're
'cause he
opening.
killed it.
Yeah, he did such a good job.
He absolutely nailed it. You guys might get jobs working in reality TV from the editing and and his graphics. Like
It's a
Right
great
on.
graphic. It really nails it.
it's a hole in one.
It makes the production value like we have so much production value packed into the first second. It makes the rest of the cartoon just look downright cheap.
That's true, but it is. We spent nothing on it except for
We
our
did.
life.
That's right. We worked very hard. We're gonna see nothing in return, but damn it, we made it.
Aw. We're slowly climbing that ladder, and you know what's at the top? Poop cake dessert.
More work. Yeah, poop cake dessert. So yeah, check it out. DrawBomb on YouTube. We're gonna have a new short coming out. Should be funny, I hope.
I hope it's funny.
I think I'm not sure if it's a laugh out loud funny. But I think conceptually it's like one of those things where like you ever have like something that is conceptually funny, but it's not necessarily like something you're gonna guffaw at, but it's still
Yeah.
hilarious, you know? But it's just like on a concept. What like there's I love Brian David Gilbert. I think he makes amazing videos. There's a guy he popped off on TikTok. He's Australian and he's like a musician, but he makes goofy like really funky songs called Tom Cardy.
Okay.
And you'd probably recognize him. He's always wearing like a tank top and he's like in his like same little, it looks like a trailer, but it's like a big room. If I showed you like a picture of him, you'd recognize him, I think, because you're on TikTok more than me. But I follow him on YouTube. But anyways, Brian David Gilbert released a song with him where they're both psychiatrists who like sort of become infatuated with how great each other's brains are. You know what I mean? And there's this
Okay.
there's this breakdown moment in the song where they're like talking about ink blots, and like they have this moment where they realize like, oh, I see the same thing in the ink blots that you do. So then there's like this breakdown moment in the song where it's like they're listing what they see in the ink blot, and then the other guy just responds with yes. And the concept conceptually, one psychiatrist saying what they see in an ink blot test and the other psychiatrist saying yes, that's correct, is so fucking funny to me. That one I actually did laugh out loud because it's so fucking funny. But there are some, it was like one of those things where I had to think about it, and I'm like, oh my god, it's a psychiatrist confirming an ink blot test. That's functionally wrong, and that's what makes it hilarious. And so I think our sketch won't make you laugh as hard as that joke.
I think I get what you're saying, and I agree. Bergerac says most of your things I would describe as humorous, and yeah, I think that's fair. Like it's like our stuff is like, while you're watching it, you might have a smirk on your face. While you're watching it, you might exhale some air through your nose at a couple points. That's about what I think you're gonna get out of it.
I don't ever want to say like, oh, you're gonna fucking bust a gut laughing at our fucking jokes.
You're gonna slap your knee so hard that your kneecap shoots out of your knee like a frisbee and flies across, across the way and kills your neighbor, lodges into the side of his head, and he drops dead. And then the cops show up and they're like, "What the hell happened here?" And you're like, "I don't know. It all happened so fast."
Watched a funny YouTube video
for years.
You're gonna have a career in ham boning with how hard you're gonna be slapping your knees with laughter. I think a lot of our
knee so hard your knee's gonna say, "Please, sir, I would like another."
Yeah. I think a lot of our things are conceptually humorous. I don't know if they're necessarily like you're gonna fucking crack up laughing at them. I've been surprised about like what jokes people actually laugh out loud at with our sketches, and that they ever do.
Especially hard to know in the writing part.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff like when we're writing, I'm laughing at. That's less funny when I see it, and there's stuff that I'm not laughing as much when we're writing it that I think is really funny when I see it. So it's just kind of like when everything comes together, it's a whole nother beast a lot of times.
Yeah, writing it's a whole nother Mr. Beast. Writing comedy is very strange because it feels like you're like a bunch of scientists in a lab trying to like mix the chemicals together to make the joke work. It's like this if we add enough of this red chemical, we'll get the most giggle ha-has out of this yet.
It's true. You're all just throwing things out and everybody's like, yes, that is funny, but is it funny enough? What if we tried it this way? What if he was wearing a silly hat while he said that thing?
What if instead of saying he says does that make it funnier? You know what? That makes it 10 times funnier if he says instead of the. That's what writing comedy is like.
Yeah, basically. And that's coming from people who aren't, experts at writing comedy.
Yeah, we are.
That's how it feels.
To act like we are any sort of fucking like position of authority.
Our standard from the very beginning, we've been creating things for a while as a team. And I think our standard has always been like, is it entertain us?
Yeah.
Then it's good to go. And that doesn't always mean that it's entertained to everyone else, because we are also in our weird like echo chamber of being friends for a long time. But I think bringing Lisa in has been helpful.
Bringing Lisa in has been she's been really helpful in the writing process.
Rappity boop, and we both laugh, and she's like,
and she's right, and like she is right when she does. She's like that.
That wasn't me criticizing. That's me saying she's not in our little echo chamber. She's like a separate person from like us talking to each other about stupid shit for the past 20 years.
Yeah. Although I will say also, like, I think we do have the right approach where if we're trying to make ourselves laugh first, like, that's the one thing that we can, like, if we write a joke and we laugh, like, that's good. And I'd rather we entertain ourselves first, because if we entertain ourselves first, then it's entertaining to somebody, even if it's just us. Whereas if we try and write a joke to be broad and like be entertaining for everybody, there's a better chance we will make it entertaining for nobody. So I'm glad that we do have a rule where we have to like, if we make a joke, we kind of like, it's like an unwritten rule almost, but we both have to say yes. We find it funny enough before we move on, and I think that's good. I think it's worked.
I think it's good too. I think it's a good North Star, like to make ourselves entertained. Because if it's like the opposite of that is like the thing that's always gonna fail, where you're like sitting down, and you're like, all right, let's make a viral video.
Yeah,
like you can't
do that.
Can't think that way. You will fail. But yeah, you just try to make something that is good. You make something that you would like. You know, that's the only thing you can do, and I think that's what almost every creator has to do.
Yeah.
Or else, how would you make something? You have to just make what you think would be good, or things you like to see. You would like to see. You make it yourself. Like that's the only way. That has to be the guiding light, or else.
Yeah. If anything, like when I make it, I'm like, would I'd make something that I would at least enjoy watching, and I think we've done that.
Double Rock says, Zach showed me your idea sheet though, and that is actually really funny. I think she's talking about like your one, like you took too much like NyQuil PM and like wrote like 30 rapid fire ideas where you're like, it's a cereal commercial, but the cereal is actually all Legos.
Yeah, I do think that's those commercials are still funny.
They are. They're just so like unhinged.
They're very unhinged, yeah.
They were written by a disturbed man.
Yeah, I was not in my right mind when I think I wrote most of those.
You had a fever where you belonged in the hospital, and you were like, instead I'm gonna sit down and write some comedy. Something like that.
Hey, Ernest Hemingway famously said, write drunk, edit sober.
There you go. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I know he's a successful writer, but I'm not sure how good of a guide that is, because there's been times where I write like a joke down drunk, and then like the next day I look at it and I'm like, what the fuck?
That's the editing sober. You're proving yourself. You're proving the quote.
But also like it's like the equivalent of like waking up like from sleep and you had like a dream and you're like something was funny and you write it down, and then in the morning you're just like, that is nonsense. That's not anything.
But every so often it's a banger.
Every so often. Every so often, you're like Paul McCartney. You're like, all right. Yesterday, while dreaming.
Did he write yesterday when he was dreaming? Is that a thing?
He says that. I don't know. It's probably a lie. He
Yeah.
also says, they also say, what's that song? Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is not about LSD.
Oh. I can sort of believe that, because like. They wrote a bunch of songs like once they got so big, they were just writing songs to troll people. Like they wrote I Am the Walrus lyrics, like they just wrote gibberish because they'd heard, according to them, they wrote the lyrics to I Am the Walrus are gibberish because they'd heard that like teachers were bringing their lyrics to school and like asking kids to like find the meaning in the words. So they wrote a song that just didn't have any meaning because they were like, we're gonna fuck with these kids, mate. So I could see that.
Strange level of success to become.
I know, right?
Mess with children's school assignments.
Yeah.
We're that much of culture.
That is a weird position to be in. And you know what? I respect that approach to it. Just being like, hey, people take us seriously. We'll show them why that's fucking stupid. Anyways.
Is that Ringo?
I don't know who that is. That's not even a fucking Liverpudlian accent. It was more Australian than anything. Oh boy. Well, Brandon.
I like your umbrella.
Thank you. I got a mimic coat and a mimic umbrella.
Normally you want an umbrella that blocks you from getting dripped on, but it's drooling on him.
Yeah.
That's a real backfire situation.
It has to be something you have to open, you know?
Oh yeah.
So it's like once
you have to be punished.
You have to be punished for opening.
For your curiosity.
But it's
like a backpack, and then it like, you're like,
See, now you're thinking.
and eats them, and then it's just laying there.
Or like a tin can.
You have to open it the whole way before it gets evil.
Well, it's the thing is, it's already open. It's just like it makes you think you gotta open it, cause it's a mimic. It's already got its mouth.
That's true. That's true. I'm learning.
You're learning a lot about mimics today. Anyways,
I think.
yeah, I don't know if we have
We're
anything
done.
else to plug. We
We're
took
done
like
here.
20 minutes to plug our new short. Do we have anything else to plug?
I don't think so. I think that's it right now.
All right.
Check out our YouTube. Check out our social media stuff.
New short
new
coming
video
out
tomorrow.
tomorrow. It'll make you exhale out of your nose once or twice.
You're gonna go. And you'll be like, boy, that was fine.
Well, that I could have
I
spent
like the new
2
one.
minutes worst. Yeah, I like it. I think it's funny, conceptually at least. I think it's funny in general. Okay.
I don't know. Real quick before we go, I couldn't stop thinking about. I don't know if anybody in the chat was there when we were recording it, but Ian, in order to make it seem like his mouth was full, was chewing on like a soggy napkin, and it pays off in the voice recording. But
yeah,
I can't stop thinking about it when I listen to it. It's like, oh, that was napkin mouth.
I was legitimately gagging on it by the end because like it's not pleasant to have like wet paper in your mouth.
What?
Well, it's a perfect time to go because the
I eat
cat
paper all the
is
time.
pawing. I gotta get the cat.
Okay.
Let's go.
Well,
We're
should
gonna
we
go.
say goodbye?
Yeah, we're gonna say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Oh wait, I never even
So
went to
long.
the DrawBomb. Is recorded live yet? Whatever, fuck it. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Rocket.